Hey, greetings, friends. Jacque Howard here, and welcome to Trenton 365. Whether you're seeing it as the show on television on WPHY in Mercer County, Camden County, and Philadelphia County over in Pennsylvania, or if you're listening over the radio via WIMG 1300 AM, New Jersey's oldest radio station and the first to have Trenton 365 syndicated, we thank you so much. If you're following over any of the podcasts or the social media outlets, thank you for that as well. Please share the content. Most importantly, because it helps to build a better community for everyone, meaning the intent behind Trenton 365 is civic engagement radio. So what is civics? Basically, it's the responsibility of every citizen in the community where they live. What does it mean to be a good citizen? You know, you're putting your trash out at the right time. Are you cleaning up in your front of your house? Are you not playing loud music? Are you doing repairs to your property with the inspectors knowing about it? All those different things work together when people work uniformly to follow the rules. It works to build a better community. I would say that if when we're traveling, like I was recently in Antigua, Barbuda, and Redonda, anywhere in the United States, even where you see these wonderful things happening, where you feel, hey, it's safe, it's beautiful, it's clean, it's bikeable, it's walkable, all those things, it's generally because someone or many someones are actively involved in being a part of working with nonprofits, working with the municipal governments, different agencies and nonprofits to make sure that the harmony of life continues, not only for those who are living now, but also for future generations. And that leads me to bring in this segment, Jacque R.E.A.H, and we're going to be talking about the environment. And with the environment, I've got Crystal Wessel, who is the program director for New Jersey Tree Foundation. Now, there's lots of tree organizations, and those of you who are in Mercer County may remember Trees for Trenton. That is not this. If that's something that you want to get into, maybe establishing a tree organization, or if you have an interest in one and you want to get more information, Crystal can help you with that. And if you want to do something on a local level, I'll raise my hand. I'll do what I can to help you support it and get a tree or an Audubon type of agency restarted or happening here in Trenton, New Jersey. But without any further ado, I want to bring on Crystal Wessel, again, the program director of New Jersey Tree Foundation. And she's going to be talking specifically about some events that are coming up. And I'm going to have her tell a little bit about her background, because I think it's important for folks to know, why do people get excited and want to get into these industries and then get a job and then a career and all those things. So Crystal, welcome to the Trenton 365 show, and specifically Jacque R.E.A.H, and we're talking about the environment. Can you introduce yourself, talk about your position at the New Jersey Tree Foundation, and then let's talk about some of the things that you have coming up on the calendar.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here talking about trees. A little bit of my background. So I went to college for environmental science, not specifically for trees, really. I was actually more interested in animals, but kind of just ended up working at the Tree Foundation like right after grad school. And I've always been like a tree hugger, and now I get to be a professional tree hugger, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
But a lot of the stuff I've learned about trees, I've just learned like on the job in the field. And I feel like it's a very pretty accessible career path. And we really want to get more people interested in urban forestry and planting trees, because it's so important. And it's also really fun.
Now, you mentioned something, the term urban forestry. Now,
Yes.
I have not heard that term before, and I'm not going to say I'm super connected, but I'm sort of connected. Can you go into detail about that?
Yeah, so a lot of people, when they think of forestry, is like growing trees for paper, for wood products, or managing big forests, old growth forests. But urban forestry is taking care of the tree canopy where people live. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like a city, suburbs, even rural areas where there's houses and businesses. That's urban forestry. So it's not only managing the trees, but also the people that live near the trees. So we're really concerned with both aspects.
Now I've, as a community organizer, I know, and my personal experience has been the best projects, programs, initiatives, efforts at all must come from the community and have the community deeply involved in the whole process, and also to be able to lead the process so that when agencies or students or anyone comes in, when their time is up to go, there's still an active source of people who are doing this. Can you just talk a bit more about that?
Yeah, so that's pretty much exactly our approach. We don't, we will never just show up and put a tree in front of your house without talking to you, without getting your permission. Um, so our main programs in Camden and Newark, and what we're hoping to, bring to Trenton over the next couple of years, are community led. So they start with a resident reaching out to me or the other program director and saying, I would like a tree for my block. And then we meet with them, we'll go out, we will knock on their neighbors' doors, see who else would like a tree on the block. And then once we've got at least 10 within like a block or two of each other, we'll get the trees ordered, we'll start recruiting volunteers, and then we'll just go out and plant. So a lot of times the residents will come out, they'll help us plant. We get volunteers from all over to come help. And then the trees are totally free for everyone who gets them. So it's no cost to the resident. We just ask that they water it for a couple years while it gets itself established. In general, we've had a pretty good success rate with this. Like lack of watering is one of the main reasons that trees in urban environments die. But because these like residents reached out to us, like they want the trees and they love them and they really care about them. So we've had a pretty good survival rate. And like if the trees like are taking a little bit longer to leaf out, or there's like a little spot of dieback on them, like I'm getting a call or a text from the residents. Like, what's wrong? Is my tree okay? Like, should I be worried? Can you come look at it? So yeah.
I'm going to tell you that that's fabulous, and that's a very simple model. Like it's starting to think. I'm thinking in my mind. I know I've got a couple of neighbors on the block who are like, "Hey, I need a tree," but Trees for Trenton planted a tree out front of my house, probably our house, probably right around the mid 2000s, like you were saying, before things finished up. So when that took place, I remember that was some of the key things they were saying. Please just make sure that you water the tree, the variety of the tree. It's a sturdy tree, it's a strong tree. It'll be fine in this environment. It just needs to be watered to get started. Can you talk about what trees are chosen and why certain trees are chosen to be planted in certain places? And I want you to do that because I don't want people to think, hey, I can just go to a local store or nursery and say, hey, I like that tree, grab it, and think they can put it somewhere without paying attention to like the infrastructure or some other things.
Yes, yeah, I definitely recommend like researching any tree you're going to buy because they're not good for every situation. For us, we normally plant street trees. So a problem we run into is a lot of people have problems with street trees, and they're fair problems. Like they'll lift up the sidewalk, they can get into pipes, they get into wires, and then the company comes and hacks them and like pretty much kills the tree. So we really focus on right tree, right place. So when we're planting along streets in smaller planting strips or tree pits, we're going to plant like small to medium-sized trees. If we're under wires, we have a whole list of utility-friendly trees that don't get above like 30 feet tall, so that, the hopefully utility companies won't come and kill them. And then we also pick ones that are urban tolerant. So we also have a list on our site of what we call urban tolerant trees, which can deal with pollution, salt, people hitting them with their cars. When it's on a street, people are opening their car doors, they're pulling branches off as they're walking by. Urban trees deal with a lot of stress. So we have a whole list of species that can tolerate that stress pretty well. And there's definitely some, like dogwoods are great suburban trees. Even in yards, they're beautiful, they're native, people love them. Would not put one on a street because they're so sensitive to pollution and salt. They just don't do well. So that's just something to consider.
Great. All right. So now we know that we've got this statewide agency, the New Jersey Tree Foundation, Crystal Wessel, who's a program director. You're very accessible. So if someone calls the New Jersey Tree Foundation. They've got some questions. They want to start a tree club or they want to do some tree plantings. They can reach out to you. In particular, those in Trenton who have an interest, there's an opportunity for us to organize and start doing some of the similar things that are happening in Camden and maybe
Mhm.
some other municipalities. And I'm willing to be the point person to at least get that started and to tell anybody, hey, if you're interested in trees and being more active in tree planting, tree initiatives, tree education, you have a young person in your life who's excited about trees, hit me up, send me an email, find me on social media, any of those things. And I'll work with you, your group, your faith community, your agency, whatever, get you connected with Crystal. And then from there, we can start building out, getting some trees planted here in the city of Trenton. I want to talk a bit about, you said that you didn't necessarily have a vision, younger vision of getting involved in trees, like you were more focused on animals, etc. So can you just talk about your education a little bit and what was it that kind of said, oh wait, this might be a good opportunity for me?
Yeah. So when I was in grad school, I did an internship where I was mapping out street trees. And I just kind of like randomly, like I didn't look for it. It was just like a professor was like, "Oh, I know someone who needs street trees mapped out as your capstone project." And I was like, "Okay, that sounds kind of cool." So I did that, with like GIS and
Yeah.
Google Maps, like figure out where like the dying trees were, where there needed to be more trees planted, and like a whole little assessment of like trees can go here, these ones need to be removed. I was like, oh, that was pretty cool. And I want to plant, like, we should be planting more trees. And then I also learned about during the internship, iTree, which is a really cool free computer program. Like you can access it from your browser. And it tells you like all the stormwater benefits, the air pollution reduction that trees will bring. And like quantifying that, especially in like money, which is like a term that governments can understand. You're like, if you plant a tree, it can save you thousands of dollars over the course of its life. And just seeing like how much stormwater these trees can absorb, how much carbon dioxide they can remove from the atmosphere. I was like, oh, this is important work. And I always knew trees were important. Like if I ever saw a tree getting taken down as a child, I was devastated. But then after that, I applied for this job and I was like, well, that's very related to what I just did in my internship. And I just got more in-depth education on it. And that's kind of what I've been doing ever since I got out of school.
Awesome. And you seem like you're enjoying yourself.
Yeah.
And so that in itself is sometimes enough for some people to want to get involved in the industry. There's like some joy and there's some, emotional benefits to the work that you're doing. So awesome to that. Now, we've got a few events that are coming up
Mhm.
in Trenton regarding some tree plantings and things
Yes.
like that. Can you just go into the weeds and talk a bit about that?
Yeah. So I don't know when this will be airing, so it might be after.
Mhm.
But
Well, we'll get you the copy of it so it goes out on social media before it gets on radio and TV.
So this Saturday, May 4th, we're planting 15 trees in George Page Park. So we're mostly planting along the Pink Creek like riverbank. If you have been to the park, you will see a lot of that riverbank is kind of just falling into the creek. So we're planting trees like right along the edge there to try and help stabilize the soil and create a little, shade, reduce a little bit of the runoff that's going into the stream. And then I do need volunteers for that. So like I said, all of our tree plantings are planted totally by volunteers. So I'm always looking for people to come out and help. And it's a really fun day. We're out there for a couple hours on Saturday mornings. Um, it's nice to just go out, get your hands dirty, work alongside a lot of other people who love planting trees and love helping the planet. So please come. And then next week on Tuesday, we are planting 100 trees in Cadwalder Park. And that's part of a big partnership we've got with the city, Isles, Watershed Institute, New Jersey Conservation Foundation, BRS. I think those are all the partners. I hope Outdoor Equity Alliance too. They're really awesome, and they've had some volunteers come out to our events before. Um, but yeah, we were planting 100 trees, so we need a lot of help if anyone wants to come.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
Have
Yeah,
a nice
and for,
day in the park.
yes, yep, and for volunteers, because this is one of those weekends, you know one of those weekends where everybody has things going on.
Yeah.
Um, even if people can't make it
Mhm,
to this event, or Tuesday's
mhm.
event, it's still an ongoing process. There's still opportunities for folks to get on mailing lists,
Oh
to
yeah.
volunteer, to share information, etc. And how's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, you can just email me or give me a call. Um, I'm always around. If I don't answer, just leave a voicemail. Sometimes I'm out in the field. Um, but yeah, just reach out to me and we're pretty much done our spring planting season after these two. But we're definitely going to be back in the fall. And we're also hoping to do some tree education stuff in Trenton over the summer.
Mm.
So keep an eye out for that. If you're someone who's interested in learning more about trees and pruning, mulching, all that good stuff.
Awesome. Awesome. So I will tell you right now as I'm making these notes. So spring, there's a planting. Fall time, there's a planting. And
Yes.
during the summer, it's tree education time. And you're
Yep.
going to be looking for people and organizations and entities to partner. Now, is there, say, for example, a church, a faith center, a synagogue, a mosque, or has a property and they want to have some trees out front? Could they also call?
Yeah, so it's not just limited to residents. We're pretty much any sort of publicly accessible property. So I would say, yeah, like churches, synagogues, mosques, they would all qualify because you've got a lot of people, going there, spending time in the courtyard. We want to make it pretty. Schools, community centers, libraries, pretty much any public-ish area. We're basically just not doing private landscaping. Anything
Right.
else?
All right, great. And I do want to touch on this one more time. There are so many different types of trees,
Yes.
so many varieties of trees. And with the internet, you've got access to all different types of things. Not everything needs to be planted everywhere. Can you one more time just share a bit about where you're planting and why it's important to have trees that are it's more advantageous for them to be planted in urban areas like Trenton?
Yeah. So, like I had said before, the urban environment is tough. Like it is tough for trees. So we really need to be choosing species that are going to be able to deal with all of these stressors. Um, One thing that I've noticed, so you'll see on our website and on the pictures that we post, we do plant non-native trees, which can be controversial sometimes. We don't plant invasive trees. So invasive ones are ones that will just spread uncontrollably, whereas non-native just means they're not naturally found in New Jersey. And the reason for that is because there are not a lot of native trees that can deal with the
Mm,
stress of being a street tree in a city.
mm,
So a lot of the things that we do plant natives when we can, but we also do incorporate non-natives as needed, because we want to plant a big diversity of trees. Um, some people might have seen photos like, 100 years ago, people would plant a whole row of elm trees, or even in Trenton, ash trees were really
yes.
commonly planted
Yep.
back in the 2000s, and you'd have a whole street full of nothing but ash trees. Then we got the emerald ash borer, which is a little pest that kills all the ash trees, and now the whole block is void of trees. So we want to plant as diverse as possible. So sometimes that'll be planting all the same ones on one block and then a different species on like the next block over. Or it could be planting multiple species on a block, but we just don't want to be planting only one type of tree because God forbid another pest or disease or something comes along. Um, so I basically just try and plant as many different things as possible. And that does mean incorporating non-native stuff along with our native stuff and just picking really, really hardy species that could deal with all of the challenges of being a street tree in a city.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, unfortunately, just like many times with these interviews, they go quick. It's just not enough time to get a lot of information out. But I want to make sure that Crystal Wessel, who's the program director for New Jersey Tree Foundation, get some opportunity to share about the importance of trees, her experience and background working for, with, and in the tree industry, but also how we can get involved with planting trees and being civically engaged. And also, we've got two events that are coming up in Trenton, Saturday, May 4th, and then Tuesday, May 6th, right? No, was that 7th?
May 7th.
May 7th, Tuesday, May 7th. That's the big one. 100 trees are going to be planted
100
at
trees.
Cadwallader Park. They're going to need a lot of volunteers, but this is not a one-off. If you're interested in trees, nature, environment, urban ag, or any of those things, get on the list of the New Jersey Tree Foundation. Reach out to Crystal in particular. And if there's anyone out there who's interested in doing an organization, planting trees, doing some volunteering, having an educational series about trees, get in touch with me on social media, and I'm making the commitment to be the person, the point person to get things started and connect folks with Crystal. Finishing up, any words you want to say in closing out?
Let's see. I would just say, please like look us up, plant a tree, even if it's not with us. Go hug a tree today. It really, it like brings me so much joy. Like Jacque said earlier, like being out there planting with people, just like seeing trees, it's a really joyful experience. And that's our goal here, is to just bring some joy and life and greenery to the city, because there's not enough greenery in our cities, and we all need a little bit more joy.
Amen. Amen. Awesome. Fantastic. Thank you so much. All right, and there you have it, folks. Crystal Wessel. Make sure you reach out to her. I'm going to make sure that you guys get a chance, another opportunity or two to spend some time with her. Again, she'll be here Saturday, and then she'll be here back on Tuesday. So there you have it, folks. Just another opportunity for you to connect with some human beings that are doing some amazing things. These folks are coming through my networks, coming into my sphere, and I'm doing everything I can to share that content with you, because together is how we build a better community for everyone. And there's room and there's time and there's space for everybody. Just get in touch. With that being said, remember, folks, it's always about justice, peace, and humility.